Richard Hawthorne is the pound for pound strongest man on earth, and he's joining us today, and we're going to ask him, pick his mind into his thoughts, his mindset, and how he builds the inner game and the inner strength needed to conduct such monumental feats of strength. All right, welcome, Richard. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. Appreciate you having me.
It's great. It's great. Also, I'd like to point out that you are the owner of Southern Elite Fitness in Mississippi. And if anyone wants or is local to you, they can go to that facility. I've read the reviews. They're excellent. I trust you are doing an excellent job. And also you do online training, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yep. Good. So on this channel, I try to explore self-improvement through movement. And it was through going to your seminar 3 years ago that I actually learned that it wasn't about just brute strength. You were one of the few athletes that I witnessed who did not create the hype. No smelling salts, no crazy slaps to the face, nothing like that. No aggressiveness, really just calm and focused on the task at hand. And through even seeing how you lifted at the seminar, I could see that you put more into the mindset than actual hypertrophy, reps and sets and all that. It was really about how you were thinking about the movement. So could you explain to me your philosophy, core strength, core strong, I know is a tenet of or a piece of your philosophy. Could you explain what core strong means?
The deeper meaning of what core strong is, a lot of people, first of all, they think when they hear core, they thinking, they thinking the abs and obliques. Yes, when I say core, I'm really talking about the actual central core, which is, starting from, your cervical, from your, I can't even think, my mind is gone. Starting here from your cervical area, all the way down to your pelvic floor, okay? So, and that's 360 degrees. Now, yes, I'm talking about that, okay? Not just strictly abs, but that's just the physical side. But deep down, what is core strong? Core strong is really the mind, body, and spirit, okay? You can't be strong without one or the other, okay? It's all simultaneous. You have to have the mental game, you have to have the physical game, and with those two talking and corresponding together, then and only then you have the spiritual aspect that pop up where you see amazing things that actually happens. Okay, so so when everything is working together, you can have that internal core strong. That's your core. So and you have a being, and its core is the physical, mental, and spiritual. So therefore, that's what core strong actually is.
Okay, excellent. Again, that seminar gave me two keys that I never heard before. One, that the core was actually from basically the length of the column of the spine, because usually everybody was talking about the abs. You gotta get the abs tight and to brace.
Yeah.
And also was that a deadlift was actually a push and not a pull. And that was the first time I've heard it. I hear everybody throughout now saying that, but you were the first person that actually was talking about that. And it kind of gave me an idea of how differently you looked at powerlifting than everyone else in the game. What I also wanted to focus on was when you spoke about it being a push for the deadlift. You also spoke about grounding in terms of being a conduit for, I guess, electricity. Well, could you go further into that?
So, I mean, basically, it's hard. It'd be hard to really explain here because most people have to have that visual. Again, it's always best to have that visual when you explain this, but basically, it's energy flow. That's what I call it, is energy flow. just speaking about the deadlift, since I'm known for deadlift, you have the bar and the weights, okay, which you would think that as being the negative. It's taken away from the body, okay? And then you have your feet, okay? That will be your positive, the things that actually creates or the energy go through to create the positive, okay? So that's where you pushing into the ground, okay? So in order to ground yourself, okay, you have to draw, or you have to allow your body to get into a certain position, which I base everything off of the hollow body hold position, okay? That's the same position that gymnasts use to warm up or to even get newcomers used to activating the body as a whole, okay? That position to me alone represents energy, the energy flow, and what we use on a day-to-day basis, which it's kind of confusing because in the hollow body hold, you're laying, let me explain a little bit. The hollow body hold is when you're laying on your back, okay? A lot of people saying it, you're laying on your back and you're pushing your lumbar and your sacrum and into the ground, okay? While your arms are straight over the head, fully extended, shoulders extended, elbows extended, wrist extended, head up where you have the forward scapular rotation, okay? So you come in here. And then also at the bottom end where your legs are up at an angle where your hips extended, knees extended, and toes extended, okay? That's the hollow body position, okay? So you're in a dish-like form, okay? And what's happening is you have energy going through the arms extending out, and you have energy going through the legs extending out, while you have that natural core activation where you're grounding your body. You're getting your energy actually through the ground, okay? So you're grounding yourself into so that you can exert energy out both ways. So with that being said, the reason why it's hard for people to see this while I'm explaining it is when you're deadlifting, you have to create that position, or when you're doing anything, whether it's running, whether it's squatting, whether it's anything, you have to understand that position and how to utilize that position, because in each movement, you have to relax certain things. Like you said earlier, people see me approach the bar relaxed, okay? I have to be mentally relaxed, but also the body have to be physically relaxed in certain positions, okay? Well, it's relaxed throughout the whole body, but it's just only energy out that activates things. So it's almost counterintuitive to the normal mind. Okay. So when you get into that position and the energy starts going out both ways, you create that natural compression, that hollow body position in the movement that you're doing, and you're literally grounding yourself or making yourself heavy. Another way that I explain that is when somebody's coming up behind you that you don't know they're coming, and they go to grab you from behind and pick you up, you immediately drop your weight.
Yeah, and put the feet down.
Exactly. Yeah. You're literally grounding yourself. That don't necessarily mean you're doing it absolutely correctly, but automatically, naturally, that's what you're doing. You're creating energy and making yourself heavy in that sense. Mm-hmm. So typically that's typically what you're doing there.
Okay. Well, that's another technique that I learned from you when I saw you, because it looks, like you said, it's counterintuitive, because when you have the deadlift, you're bracing, you're basically lowering, let's say, the chest, bracing like you would for a hard punch. And it looks, or when I attempted, I felt like I was rounding and I couldn't control, and as if somehow I'd collapsed. So I had to practice the hollow body hold. And I also learned that the hollow body hold was a great antidote to anterior pelvic tilt, because as you've seen in the gyms, and I'm guilty of it when I started also, is that the butt shoots out, extension of the back, and I'm going
Yes.
down, and we stop short every time. Now,
Yes.
you can't get
Yes.
the full depth because you're not in control. And,
Yes.
you know, again, I wanted to also ask you, because I heard you say something about feet, and a lot of the viewers on this channel deal with flat feet, overpronation. What is the sensation that you feel in your feet? Are you gripping hard with the toes? Are they relaxed? What if you could give us some insight as to how do you?
So it's all about, everything I talk about is, it's all based on balance. Even the hollow body is balanced. So if you're, all right, I coach high school lifters as well, and we was at this meet, and I was getting ready to wrap his knees, and he was looking at another opponent, you know, and he was like, he's while I was getting ready to wrap his knees, he was like, well, look at that, look what they're doing, and I stopped. I said, why are you worried about him? Okay, and the reason why I'm saying this is because what I told him was, if it's about balance. If you have in a drawing contest, okay, and you sitting right next to your opponent, right? They're drawing, y'all have to draw the same thing. They're drawing and you're drawing the same thing, but you're sitting there looking at what he's drawing while you're supposed to be drawing, okay? At the end of the competition, how do you think your drawing is going to come out? It's not going to come out at all, because you're giving all your energy to that. That focus is going to that, okay? So that's 2 points that I want to make. One, a lot of times why people can't meet, and this is not to your question you asked, but
No,
you cannot meet your high potential if you always focus on somebody else, okay? And sometimes people think, well, you're being selfish or you're doing this. You always want to put your energy in you. If you focus on, okay, well, they're doing this or doing that, your mind is not on what you need to do and how, or imagining or visualizing you finishing that lift. Your energy needs to be on you. That's where great things come to you, or actually happen for you, because you're constantly have your energy feeding into you. Okay. Now, to your answer, if I'm deliberately have my energy somewhere else, as far as my feet, okay, if I'm saying, well, I need to put energy on my heels, energy on my feet, or energy inside of my feet, things like that, then it's going to be thrown off, because it's a foot. It is your foundation, okay? So if you're only using half your foundation, how strong can you actually be? You see what I'm saying? So if I'm digging my toes in, okay, then I'm activating something that don't needs to activate. Everything we need to do, the only thing we need to do is actually push energy out, okay, down into the ground, okay? Now, things that you don't want to happen, of course, you don't want extra pressure on the front of the foot. You don't want extra pressure on the back of the foot, and you don't want pressure on the inside of the foot. You want to be nice and balanced, okay? So the whole foot is pushing into the ground, okay? So with that being said, you want to be balanced, okay? Another example of that is, I'm going to stop it right there.
No, that's right. No, that makes perfect sense. And I like what you say about focus, because it's just like that analogy of drawing. It can also go for when I was running in high school. If someone was coming up behind you and you were constantly focused on how close they were pacing you, you would then eventually slow down. You'd eventually be subdued because your focus wasn't there. But a quick thing I'd like you to point out in terms of mindset. A lot of times when you're going for your largest lift, the greatest challenge, I go up and I think of every fault that I've ever done, every injury, everything that could go wrong and before I'm about to do the hardest lift. And so how do you keep grounded? How do you stay focused? Do you clear the mind? Do you visualize beforehand making the lift? What goes through your mind?
Through my journey. Hey, hold on 1 second. Okay. Hey, baby, can you go get my keys and let up my windows? I think they're down, baby. I think my keys are in Tony's room.
It's raining out there too, huh?
Yeah. So throughout my journey, it's changed. But the more I got better and better in realizing what I was doing, which took forever, years. So there's always doubt. There's always doubt. There's always fear. Okay. This is in life in general. Like I said, everything is hand in hand. Okay. When it comes down to actually getting ready to compete, usually, of course, at night, usually I get the butterflies. I have every doubt. Okay. Have every doubt that can possibly come up in my head. And that's what you want. You want that energy. You want that nervousness energy. You want that fear. If you're not scared of something that you really want, then you really don't want it, you know? So that's a part of the process. Now, in life, we all get that feeling, you know? And most of the time, most people, when they have that feeling, they're so prone and used to backing off, okay? But the thing is what you want to do is you want to face that fear. Once you face that fear, you push through that next phase of what I would say, there's a few things. So it's that survival mechanism. I call it the miracle state, the flow, whatever you want to call it. When you're really scared and you actually push past that, okay? Say I was, you know, a lot of people seeing this process in the cage. I'm sitting on one of the benches getting ready. I'm rocking side to side. At that moment, I'm thinking of every doubt. So I'm staying calm. If I don't stay calm, okay, I'm gonna either open my eyes and look at the weight. And once you look at the weight, everything starts to become physical. You see that weight, you be like, oh, I gotta move that weight. Okay, so therefore I start thinking. Okay, once you start thinking, that means you're gonna try to start controlling your body. Okay, we don't supposed to control our body. Our bodies are way smarter than us. Okay, so you want to stop that thinking, but the only way you can stop that thinking is passing through that threshold of fear. Okay, so once I stand up and I get ready to walk towards that bar, I do my breathing, which is breathing is a huge part of it. It's probably the biggest part of it. Once I get there and I walk up to the bar, clamp my belt, I go through that threshold. That threshold is, like I said, it's a survival mechanism. It's the miracle state, the universal state, whatever you want to call it, the flow, whatever you want to call it. At that moment, you're no longer thinking. The body is going to do exactly what you've been training it for however long, the way you've been training it. Okay, you can do, and there's levels to it. You can train horribly and get into that state and do something magnificent. But if you was to be training correctly and patient and get into that flow state, it's even more beyond. You see what I'm saying? So everything is simultaneous, and it's about how you approach it. It's about how you've been training and everything. But when you get into that, you can't find it? Oh, okay. All right. That's all right. I'll figure it out. Once you get into that flow state, literally the body, for me, it feels like I'm not there. Okay. I lift it, however many reps, how many reps I do it. Once I'm in that state, it's like I can hear people but can't hear them. I'm in that tunnel vision. Can see people but can't see them. It's just everything's being done. It's almost like I'm witnessing it. And when it's done, it's like, oh, I did that. You see what I'm saying? So it's almost like an outer body experience. So that's what you see. That process is what you see. People see the calmness, but it's a lot of chaos until I go through that threshold. Okay. So that's that process.
Okay. Now I understand that completely because you had prescribed for the attendees to do 10 sets of 10.
Oh yeah.
As to start your lift. And if there's anything, it's almost a weird sense of euphoria or like you said, witnessing out of body when you're doing 10 sets of 10, especially when you reach around the 7th set.
Six.
Yeah,
six. Actually, it's your 7th set. So your 6th one is going to be the hardest. And then the 7th set, you start, yes.
And then you kind of split. Those animes where like the one person turns into 8. That's how you kind of feel as you expand. Yeah. And so I can attest to that, definitely.
Awesome. Also, that is awesome. That makes me feel good.
Oh no, I learned a lot. No, tell me. And also never touch the bar until you're ready.
Yes.
Just leave it alone. When you're ready to lift, then you touch the bar, but don't just hang on to it. And so those two things I understand completely from your teachings. Another thing that I know that you're going into, that you practice yoga. And I wanted to ask you, how has that benefited you in terms of just, I know it does a lot for meditative purposes as a lifestyle, but how does it help you with your performance, your lifting?
That's exactly what I talk about. Like, yoga is the essence of what I just explained as far as energy out. Okay. So energy out both ways, automatically get into that hollow body, automatically breathing the way you're supposed to. So you're training the body. You're training the body with energy going out both ways. So therefore, that's the communication between the mind and body. So lifting, before I started yoga, lifting was my yoga. Lifting was my meditation. So yoga is literally the practice of energy out with the presence of breath, which is it's supposed to happen anyway. Breath and movement and thought is all simultaneous, and yoga is that. You know, a lot of people can't do that, definitely can't do that in lifting. And it is super hard to even start off in yoga to do yoga. When people start yoga, they be like, oh man, this is horrible. It's hard, you know, the focus, you know what I mean? The pain, the endurance you have to have.
Yes.
But it's the same thing, but even added with weight, being able to maintain those positions throughout that movement with breathing, with energy out. So that's why the training that I teach and people hear and try to learn from is so not tasteful, because it's super hard. It's a slow process. They don't have the patience, you know. And of course, when you're doing something right, and a lot of people, I feel like a lot of people don't like to hear when I say when you do something right, but I believe deep down in my soul that I'm doing it absolutely correct. Because I've been doing this for 20 years, no gym injuries, and continually get strong after 21 years, you know. So with no steroids, no supplements, you know. So I feel that I'm on a right path. Do I know it all? No, but I feel like I'm on a path that I'm on the forefront of it, you know. So with that being said, yeah, yoga is the essence. It's a small part of it, you know what I mean? And then if you bump it up to lifting, you have to sustain that pressure while you under that load. Same thing, but you have poundage on you. So you have to be patient. You have to be smooth, methodical, You have to. Any kind of speed and explosion, you're going to be you're going to hurt yourself.
Now, in terms of breathing, is it? I know it's not heavy. I know it's not chest breathing, and I know it's not heavy. Is it 5 seconds in, 7 seconds out? Is it methodical in that way, or is it just to calm and slow the breath?
This is like how can I put it? This is almost like being, well, this is like being any kind of monk beliefs or anything like that. This is counterintuitive. Mm-hmm. You're only going to learn through the movement first. Okay. Throughout my journey of lifting, I've learned these things: how to breathe, when to breathe, only being in the movement. Say 10s, you're on your set 7, you know what I mean? You're not thinking about what you're doing. But the more you do it, years and years after you do it, you're able to be present and see and witness what you're actually doing without thinking. Now, for me to tell you when to breathe, how to breathe, you know, it's going to be counterintuitive, and it's really, really counterintuitive for the beginner, for the intermediate person, and even a higher level, because you're out of your zone. You see what I'm saying? But what I can tell you is that people think the inhale is the most important, but it's not. It's the exhale. The exhale, the long, forceful exhale, and utilizing the hollow body, do long exhales in it. You'll see how it benefits you.
Okay.
But when you oh man, I lost my train of thought. When you the exhale. Remember the movie Waiting to Exhale?
Yes.
Those thoughts, the exhale is actually, it's connected to life. Okay. The inhale is taking in, holding it, and grasping it. Okay. You could choke yourself out. You can inhale only for so long, and you can only hold it for so long, and you be out of breath quick. But if you notice, if you exhale, you can have long exhales, okay? And you can sustain that. And the better you get, you can go further and further and further. Exhale is connected to letting go and surrendering, okay? We're our best when we surrender. Again, being relaxed, or being a relaxed runner is a fast runner. A relaxed lifter is a strong lifter. Be like water. Bruce Lee, you want to flow. When you give into life, when you give into whatever you're doing, everything becomes a better flow, and it works as a unit, okay? So that's what I could tell you, is the exhale is more important, and that it is counterintuitive if I was to tell you when to breathe. Now, for me,
no, I understand,
because I'm at this level, I exhale when I go down in my squats. Most people think they get their breath and they hold it and go down and exhale when you come up. I have long, slow exhales going down. My mind can handle that, okay? I've been doing it for time after time. Slow exhales, slow, forceful exhales, like you're trying to blow up a balloon that won't blow up, and then it's a hard grunt to come up.
Okay.
But
that takes some time to master.
That's going to take a lot of time to master. But that's how the body want to work, because shooting a gun, okay, when you squeeze that trigger, you're not pulling it. Same thing, it's a push. You squeeze that trigger, you exhaling for a more accurate shot. Throwing darts, you exhale for that accurate throw. When you punching, you exhale for that accurate punch, but stronger punch. Okay, so it's the same thing. That exhale is the most important thing.
Perfect. So I thank you for your time. I know I'm taking it up. I'd like to for you to tell me where, as we wrap up, where can we find you? What services do you provide? How can we get in contact? When's your book coming out? I'm looking at the computer for that one.
Yeah.
Okay. Let us know. Where can we find you?
You can find me at CoreStrong010 at CoreStrong010 on Instagram, and you can also find me on YouTube at Richard Hawthorne or Richard the Ant Hawthorne.
I'll put a link below.
I haven't been doing much on YouTube, and I do a little on Instagram, but I have a lot of great information on there. As far as my book, it's a long story. I've been going through a process in my life, and this process is restarting back lifting now. I'm back in that zone of lifting, and you should see some major things coming from me here real soon. Deadlifts will be first, and then eventually I'll do another full meet. But that process comes first. Then talking the information more heavily on these platforms, and then I'm going to go back and finish this book because it's more information that need to be put in this book. This book already is something that's going to change not just the fitness world, and I'm not talking about just powerlifting, but not just the whole fitness world, but not only just the fitness world, but life in general. Period. Understanding yourself. The lifting and the actual instructions of lifting is the hook for people that's in powerlifting or that's in lifting, in general. So it's going to be something major when this book do come out, but it is a process. I went through this process already of the journey of lifting and doing. This is my third go around. So the book came out. The book was the last thing of that process. Now it's coming again, and it'll be the last part of this process. That's just something I'm feeling. I'm very intuitive about my life and how things roll. So that's going to be the future.
All right. Glad to have you here. Hopefully we can get you back again later in the year. We can see how the progress is going for you, and we can talk a little bit more about the mindset. I appreciate you being on. Thanks, Richard.
Appreciate you, man.
Okay, bye.